There is an invisible and mysterious line between these two islands of Indonesia which no fish, bird or animal can cross. This line starts between Bali and Lombok Islands and goes till the end of the Male Islands. It is not visible in radar or sonar, but the animals, birds, and fish on the western side of this line are totally different from the animals on the eastern side. Although the distance between these two islands is only 35 kilometers, but if you go from Bali to Lombok, so the whole environment changes. The birds and animals that are on Bali do not cross this line and go to Lombok, and the animals and birds from Lombok do not come here, and not only this but the fishes in the sea below also cross this line. If not, then these two islands are like two totally different worlds which have been divided by some mysterious power, and there is an invisible line between these islands which no one except humans can cross. This line is called the Wallace Line, and this, about 150 years ago, a British explorer named Alfred Russel Wallace had discovered. Those of you who have studied biology in school must know Russel Wallace, because of the concept of natural selection. Now Alfred Russel is also very famous. The interesting story is that he was born in a poor family in England in 1823. Wallace's father was a cartographer, which means he used to make maps, and hence he used to travel to different places. Wallace was very fond of reading and writing, but due to poverty, he was very fond of reading. At a young age, he had to leave his education and join his father's business, and this decision of his life was going to make him famous all over the world one day. By traveling to different places with his father, Wallace got a lot of interest in geography and wildlife. He had become interested. Wherever he went to a new place, he would bring with him some trees, plants, and insects from that place. In this hobby, he saw 18,544 parrots, etc. He kept noting down whatever he was seeing in his diary. Then he caught his boat and went to Lombok Islands 35 kilometers away, but after reaching here he was completely surprised. There were totally different animals and birds here, Komodo dragon, kangaroo collage, and many such animals and birds which were not there in Singapore, Indonesia, or Bali. His companions were very surprised as to why this was so. Meanwhile, Wallace got malaria and had to stay in a room on this island, but even during this illness, he got time to think about this invisible line, and then a tremendous thing came to his mind. Clicked that on Bali Islands, there are all those animals which are found in Asia, like tigers and elephants, etc. Whereas on Lombok Islands, there are all those animals and birds which are found in Australia, like kangaroo, koala, and monitor lizard. Wallace then clicked this here. The theory proposed that many millions of years ago, Asia and Australia would have been connected to each other, but with time, as the ice melted and the seawater increased, Australia and Asia moved away from each other, and as a result, the Sea Cayman Islands were formed. The animals that were on the western side remained in Bali and the rest of Asia, and those on the eastern side remained in Lubbock and Australia. Now, because there was an ocean in between, animals like tiger elephants or kags, it was impossible to cross the ocean by swimming and reach the other side, so one mystery was solved. Now the second mystery was why birds do not cross this line. Why do no birds come from Lomboks to Bali, and Bali from Lomboks? When Wallace said, and when he looked again at the birds found on Lombok Islands, he got the answer to this question. Basically, non-migratory birds live on these two islands. Actually, there are two types of birds. One is migratory birds, which travel thousands of kilometers, like the Arctic tern, which travels a distance of about 90,000 kilometers every year from South Pole to the North Pole. Similarly, there are Siberian cranes which travel 5 to 10,000 kilometers from Russia to China, India, and Pakistan in winter. These birds are very special, due to which they can fly over the sea for a long time. They spread their wings just like an airplane and then remain like this for 10 to 10,000 kilometers. But here in Eastern Asia and especially in Indonesia, they are birds and they are non-migratory, which means they keep flying at the same place where they are born, within a range of 1 to 2 kilometers. That is why it is impossible for these birds to cross this 35-kilometer sea, so animals and birds have understood that why they do not cross this line. Now only fish or other marine animals are left. Why is it difficult for fish to cross this line? Even Wallace did not understand this, because at that time, the concept of plate tectonics had not been discovered. Today's modern in times, we all know that our planet is not static, but dynamic. Many movements are taking place inside this land, which appears smooth from above. Below the surface of our land, there are many plates which collide with each other, due to this, many changes take place on our planet. Like today we know that about 335 million years ago, all our continents were united and in our land there was only one continent which is called Pangaea. Then due to the movement of tectonic plates, in the next over many millions of years, this entire continent broke and divided into different continents. Like 45 million years ago, what we call Indian subcontinent today was a part of Australia, and due to tectonic plates, it broke from here and joined the Eurasian plate above. As a result, the land of both the plates rose up and folded, and the world's largest mountain range came into existence, which today we call Himalayas. These are the joining points of the plates. They are very volatile, and most of the earthquakes originate from here. That is why most of the earthquakes that occur in South Asia originate in the Himalayan Hindu Kush range. Similarly, the entire area of Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia was also the victim of a huge tectonic shift, due to which many volcanic eruptions keep happening here, and that is why the water current in the part of the sea between the islands is so strong that it is very difficult for any fish to cross it. That is why despite being only 35 kilometers away, these Komodo dragons cannot swim to Bali Islands or from there. If any fish can reach this island, then these tectonic plate shifts are the biggest reason for this invisible line. Although this theory came many years after the death of Wallace, but if seen, his conclusion drawn 150 years ago was absolutely right. If you like our videos, then do subscribe the channel. See you in the next video with another interesting topic.